How about we start with the Trump rally and Trump saying he's to 2024 run?
Have to ask, where are you in the process of, let me ask you this without giving the answer what the answer is, have you made up your mind?
Yes.
I think you got it right. Yeah.
What? What? They cheered that he made up his mind, but he didn't say what that is. I mean,
which is, like, also just colossally stupid to not, like, if you actually made up your mind. I remember, like, this may be a little bit far field, but when LeBron was going to decide which team he's going to, they literally don't know until things fall into place, right? Like, you reserve, like, Trump said he made up his mind, but if something happens that's catastrophic, he won't run. If something happens that's really good, he will run. To actually have made up your mind would be just colossally stupid, and it's funny that he's, like, posturing as if he has, just because he knows that's what his crowd just wants decisiveness, basically.
Right.
Well, yeah,
also,
you gotta...
No,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brent.
I was gonna say, yeah, you gotta build up excitement. Otherwise, people are gonna start tuning out. Like, I mean, he's blown past the deadline where he was supposed to be back in the presidency. That was 6 months ago at this point. You know, if he's not going to pivot towards the 2024 run as part of his media platform tour, what else is he talking about?
Well, he is going to be doing a winter tour, I believe, with Bill O'Reilly.
Oh.
So he does have some plans. In fact, upon hearing that, a lot of QAnon faithful got really disappointed because the belief that they are now latching on to that Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy theory that Trump is going to be back in the president's seat. He's going to be the president once again in August. And
Right.
so once that Bill O'Reilly tour was announced, they got very upset because if Trump's the president again in August, how would he have the time to go on a talking tour with Bill O'Reilly? So they were very disappointed that it seems unlikely now that that Trump won't be president in August.
It seems like it'd be better for him to, like, just stay off of tours like that and then let the crazies do his work for him and just imagine what he's doing. Because I feel like a Bill O'Reilly tour, that's gonna be sad. Like, it's gonna land like his From the Desk of Donald Trump stuff. No one really cares about it when it's so.
He's lost his juice, man. He doesn't have the fastball right now. He needs his Twitter account. I think he'll go campaigning to just get his Twitter account back, basically.
I think it's like Matt
I don't
said.
think. Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's no chance of him getting his Twitter account back, according to Twitter. That's not even like an option. Like, Facebook is the one that said, we'll give it back to you perhaps in like a 2-year span. If like,
presidential campaign where he threatens Twitter the whole time and has his entire hooting mob behind him. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, I agree. It's definitely possible. But at this point, Twitter's the one platform who said that there's no reversing that. So if he if he thinks he's going to get something back, he should go for the more realistic option. And
well, that's why he was the president and you weren't, Matt.
Right.
You got bigger vision.
That's true.
I don't know. I don't think he has it in him to sort of like drop off into the background. Before president, he was doing the apprentice thing, and then they took that from him because he wouldn't drop the birther thing. And then the president thing was just supposedly going to be another part of that return to fame. And now he's even less famous. Well, he's infamous now, but he has even less access to platforms than he did going into being president. And so trying to figure out how to get back to that point, maybe 12, 13 years ago when he was on television, a fixture of late night television, is probably going to be the rest of his life's goal. Now, running for president in 2024 might be the easiest route to that again. But the idea that he specifically wants to be president, I don't know about. Everyone was talking about him running for it in 2024. I mean, if that helps him get a contract for a new reality television show, maybe. But I think you could, simulate him leaving by offering him another media adjacent role that just has some level of prominence.
Right. It's crazy he hasn't actually started his own social media platform yet. Like, the guy clearly could do so. He doesn't have to pay anyone. There's enough people who love him so much they would do it for free. I mean, Parler, did you see that news that came out about Parler? We previously knew that Parler reached out to Trump and wanted to give him monetary compensation in terms of a big stake in the company back after he was deplatformed from Facebook and Twitter earlier this year. I think actually they wanted to give him that stake when he was still president. But this came out after he was deplatformed. But this just came out recently that not only did that happen, as part of the deal, not only did Trump want that stake, he wanted a guarantee from Parler that they would ban any of his critics from the platform, and Parler would not agree to that, and that's one of the reasons the deal fell apart. So, the guy who the free speech advocates love so much wanted his critics on another social media platform silenced if he was to join it.
Do we know what he was worried about?
I don't know if there were any specific. I'm not sure. Gab's owner came out and said that there was an attempt to, and again, you can't really trust Andrew Torba, who knows what but he came out and said, according to him, there were some sort of talks to get Trump on Gab a while back, but then Jared Kushner got involved and wanted any people who were talking badly, wanted the anti-Semitism and the anti-Israel stuff off of Gab. And remember, Gab is a hardcore platform for literal anti-Semites and neo-Nazis. So, you know, Kushner is not completely out of bounds to think that stuff is gross, obviously. Well, he wanted that stuff taken off, and obviously Gab was not going to allow that. That's their bread and butter. So Trump didn't end up joining there either.
Well, yeah, I know. I can understand that. Trump has, you know, and I think he's always had displayed this level of disgust for his most radical, far right, most stereotypical followers. When he had coronavirus and apparently was dying, he in giving a drive-by wave or any of those sort of like disrespectful moves that he likes to do, referring to them basically as garbage after the Jan 6th insurrection. I believe he thinks of them that way, honestly. I think mostly what it is that he's endemic of a certain type of right-winger person who would never be satisfied on Gab or anything else because, part of their, ideology, part of what they want is to be integrated into a larger society that is just forced to deal with their, terrible, terrible, unpopular ideas. And, if you sort of broach the topic that like, hey, you know what? We're a society, laws, et cetera, aside, just as a group of people, if all of us don't like you, you can't hang with us, people like them get a little bit upset. That's why a lot of right-wing articles are just like, can you believe how hard it is to date in DC? Why aren't people who don't like us being forced to deal with us? And it's like, well, because at the end of the day, people still have the right to ignore you if you don't necessarily, fit their type of, social norms, worldview, if you're offending them because you're like sort of, bigoted against their very existence. And, there are legitimate neo-Nazis, people who are self-identified Nazis who love being on places like Stormfront and Parler because they get to be surrounded by people who are like them. And then there are people like Trump, like, the Laura Loomers of the world who think better of themselves and think they should be allowed into polite company despite their views being more aligned with the people on Gab on Parler than they are with the people on Twitter or at, the New York Times or just in any sort of nice, polite university. And they can't understand why everyone is not getting riled up about the person that they don't like being kicked out of the party. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, people have to like you a little bit. People, like, and part of that is not like calling for them dying to defend you. And that's, right. That's just the reality. So, Trump, if he goes to Gab, it would have to be a heavily curated platform to make sure that it made him feel as comfortable as possible. But even then, he still would never be as active or enjoy it as Twitter because it's not full of people who are literally being forced to deal with him talking trash about them.
Right. That's absolutely it. A lot of them, I would even say the vast majority, because, even like the people who like to be around like-minded people like the neo-Nazis and the anti-Semites and white supremacists, they got their private Telegram channels where they talk more openly about things to do that. But like when they're on a social platform, you definitely hit it on the head. They want to, piss off the libs. They want to get people angry. And you can't do that when you're on Gab or Parler because there's no libs there.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be a struggle. And, we can talk about the free speech implications of being banned from Twitter if you want. But at the end of the day, what they want is not free speech. What they want is the right to harass people or to, put their finger as close to their sibling as possible and go, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. And then the fact that we're not children, we're adults who are allowed to make adult decisions. And, you break that finger, they get upset. And they go, but I was not touching you. It's like, okay, well, yes, you were. It's like, that's, we're not playing that game. And there's a resistance, I think, to people, that's all analogy, obviously, but there's a resistance, I think, from people who have been predominantly socialized online, who have found a lot of their kinship online, to the idea that the rules that exist online, or like sort of the informal rules that exist online, like if you make somebody mad, they you win that argument, don't exist in real life. Like if you make somebody mad, if you make everyone mad at your job, everyone doesn't congratulate you for being an epic troll. They they call you into HR and they say you can't sexually harass people or say racist jokes. And that's what people rebel against. And it's, it's a little bit vacuous.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I was just finishing my lunch. I ordered the Crowder. It was really good. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and to hit the like button. Thank you. Can't do it without you.